Hey guys, it's been a while since I've done a solo podcast episode, and this one is on marriage and relationships, specifically on the issue of blame and criticism, uh, which are extremely challenging and destructive to relationships and connection. Uh, so a lot of times, couples will come to counseling, and even if they don't consciously think this, um, s- uh, they'll they come with the hope that we're finally going to talk and someone's going to finally see what I'm experiencing, and it will be obvious to my spouse that they need to change, that I'm unhappy, that our marriage is not working because of what they're doing. Um, and uh, Even before we get into to couples counseling, this pattern of trying to find the bad guy, what Sue Johnson in Hold Me Tight, her book on emotionally focused therapy, this is one of the demon dialogues. This is one of the patterns and cycles um, that people get stuck in. Is if we're unhappy, if there's something wrong, if there's pain, then someone is to blame. Um, and Something very similar to that is if I can uh, show you how wrong you are, um, and show you how unhappy I am, then that will motivate you to change. Um, and so the demon dialogues are find the bad guy, protest polka. Protesting and complaining and criticizing, it's very similar. There's a little overlap there. And then the third one is fight and flee. The pattern of fight and flee. After a while, um, blame, criticism, contempt, um, trying harder, manipulation, unhappiness. You burn out and you can just give up. And on the flip side of being blamed and criticized constantly, you can just shut down and withdraw. It's extremely painful to get stuck in this cycle. So find the bad guy. Is someone's responsible? Someone has to be um, um, responsible. And a lot of times, people that get stuck in this uh, pattern, they've grown up in families where one or both of the parents are pretty critical, and so you can develop defensiveness or passiveness in that type of environment. Another example of that is uh, a lot of times uh, people have difficulty asking for clearly for what they want, what they need, or if they do, they have to make a really good case for why what they want is quote unquote right. There has to be like some moral reason why what they want is okay. It's never okay just to want something. Yeah, you have to present a good case for it, and so that's really challenging. After a while, uh, you either really get really good at manipulation or arguing, being argumentative, arguing for what you want, being aggressive, being really assertive, or using emotion and anger and intensity to to get what you want or what you need. Or then sadly, see this a lot with folks that struggle with anxiety and depression. Is you just learn to be disappointed and live with disappointment and try to numb and deaden desire and not want things and have really low expectations. Um, and and safety and security and peace and happiness come with serving other people, making other people happy, um, and avoiding conflict. So these This is what people bring into marriage, with the hopes that it'll be different, um, whether you realize it or not. Um, if you didn't, if you weren't valued, um, uh, or seen in your family growing up, it is intoxicating. It is powerful when you're dating, when you're engaged, early married, to have someone who really cares about you and is really trying to please you, trying to make you happy. Um, and so, where does it go wrong? Where does it go wrong is when we don't know how to communicate, don't know how to um, make agreements. Communication, and being generous of spirit, uh, uh, b- being generous with helping around the house, um, uh, pleasing, meeting each other's needs emotionally, physically, um, is easy until it's not. And then we don't, very often don't know how to uh, manage and deal with disappointment when things don't go our way. Um, don't know how to communicate our expectations, um, and our desires. Don't know how to make requests in a healthy, clear way. And then, um, one with what I described earlier, trying to make people happy is you can do everything to the best of your ability. You can think you're doing things perfectly, and your spouse can still be unhappy. Um, and so, one of the key skills that people need to learn in healthy relationships is how, how do I maintain my sense of peace and security and confidence, self esteem, self worth when my spouse is unhappy. Dealing with negative emotions, whether it's your spouse's stress and uh, stress or anxiety. So some folks, they're fine when things get hard. They ramp up. They get intense. They freak out. They get controlling. Anxiety responses. Or the flip side, things are going fine. Something challenging, something stressful, something difficult. They don't ramp up and get loud. They withdraw. They shut down. They pull away. They get quiet. And so, dealing with our spouse's negative emotions, how do we support? And this is a key. How do we stay connected with our spouse in times of stress when things are hard? It's easy when things are easy. Um, these are things to learn. Um, well, do a lot of premarital counseling. Um, the first 4 to 6 sessions, sometimes 8 sessions, the few months before getting married, the engagement, like it's fun. If you're not trying to make it perfect, but pictures, the ring, excitement, you know, telling everybody, preparing for this huge day, huge celebration, the wedding. Can it's easy to get focused on things that are external to yourself, um, and just getting busy and distracted. Um, and honeymoon, sexual intimacy, all the fun things of early parts of relationship, right? But what happens, how do you show up for each other, like in the grind of everyday life, when work's hard, um when things don't go your way? How do you comfort and be there for each other when when life is difficult, when life is life? And then when kids come along and you feel even more disconnected and less important to each other. Okay, so I'm rambling. I went off my outline trying to make eye contact with the camera. Okay. So blame, criticism, and defensiveness, right? So find the bad guy. EFT is very similar to the first horseman of the apocalypse with Gottman. Criticism versus complaint. Right? So real quick, like a criticism or a complaint is like a concern. Like, I don't like the sink full of dishes. Right? It's a behavior. It's a circumstance. I don't like that. Um, but a criticism is, blame is, it's not that I don't like the dishes in the sink, and the reason why is it makes it really hard to prepare the next meal. um you know uh it's, you're lazy, you're inconsiderate, you don't care enough about me to remember to clean up after yourself. You're the underlying message is you're a bad spouse. And you're either lazy, stupid, or don't care. So that's a criticism. So it helps to separate the concern, the thing that you don't like, the behavior, the habit, from the person, um, and not attacking your spouse's character or questioning how much they love you. That you know uh, quickly becomes a fight. Um, but if you do that enough, if you do that enough, um, the, the two things happen. One of two things happen. Either your spouse starts accepting the criticism, whether they say it out loud or not, is, yeah, you're right. I'm bad. Like, you're unhappy. Like, I'm unable to make you happy. You're always upset. I always screw up. It's never good enough. And no matter how hard I try, either that thing's not good enough, or I meet that expectation requirement, but then there's always something else that you're unhappy about and critical about. And so they will pull away and shut down, withdraw, focus on hobbies, focus on work, focus on the kids, focus on places where they feel valuable and they feel um, like they're getting it right. And um, and so the cycle continues. They withdraw, and the person who's critical, unhappy, pursues them. If I complain louder, if I ramp up the intensity, somehow I'll get through to you, and somehow you'll change, turn around from running away from me, and we'll connect. See, that's ultimately it's not just about the sink, it's about connection. Like, do you care about my feelings and why that's important to me? It may seem like a small thing, but that's what hurts, right? It's a small thing. Why can't you just do it? Right? um so in these cycles of pursuing and withdrawing, we have this negative self-talk that perpetuates and feeds the cycle. The other part, so yeah, I accept it. Like, I'm terrible, you know. Um, so that doesn't bring the best out in your spouse. It 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 they sink down to like the worst, right? Um, yeah, I'm just gonna do the bare minimum to not get yelled at today. Um, which is it's not healthy. It's not great. It doesn't feel good, you know. And then the person who's pursuing and unhappy or critical is, I'm so exhausted I'm so tired of having to remind you. I wish you would step up. I wish you would help. I wish you would be more responsible. I wish you would see how unhappy I am, and how hard this is for me. Right. So when we get into these cycles of blame and defensiveness, we're not connected. You lose empathy for each other. When we're in pain or under stress, we lose empathy. And when you lose empathy, you give yourself permission to mistreat your spouse and do and say things that you think you would never have thought you would do, or early in the relationship. Okay, so just shutting down, accepting. The other thing, the other response to being blamed and criticized is, no, I'm not going to accept that. I'm going to cross complain, um, and I'm going to fight you, and I'm going to escalate. And like, you're mad, I'm going to get madder. You're loud, I'm going to get louder. You hit below the belt. You say mean, nasty things to me. Well, like, I'll get fight dirty too. And this is really destructive and really sad to see, um, and sad to experience. So cross complaining. So your spouse um, brings something to you, and yeah, but if you hear yeah, but and you a lot in conversations, you're like in this cycle. Find the bad guy and protest polka. Um, so um, you protest what I do, and then yeah, but I'm going to protest what you do. We're fighting for a win-win. So here, uh, instead of uh, fighting each other, it's pulling back and recognizing, oh, we're in the blame cycle. I'm feeling defensive. I'm acting defensively. I'm not taking in and accepting what you're saying and how you're feeling, right? And it goes back to handling your spouse's emotions, even anger and frustration, right? Um, and a lot of times we've learned these defensive reactions to people's emotions because you were punished um, uh, when you're younger. Bad things happened if someone got angry. So keep the peace, keep everybody happy. Um, and then whenever someone complains, still, well, then it's cross complaint. Like, here's all the things that I've done to make you happy. How could you still be unhappy and frustrated, disappointed, or angry with me? And a lot of anger and bitterness and resentment comes up. Whether spouse and husband play this, where 9 times out of 10, I'll give in to you, but I'm keeping score, even unintentionally. But the one time I want to play video games, the one time I want to do this or whatever, and you say no. The one time I really want something, you've gotten into this pattern where I'm always losing. No, I'm done. I'm burnt out. I'm finally going to get what I want. It doesn't matter how you feel. These are the big fights. These are really painful. And then just cycle through the patterns and play musical chairs on who's the bad guy. This is not the way marriage should be, right? So, uh, it, real quick, I'm going to talk about the four S's of secure attachment, 4 pillars of secure attachment that really affect this. So, feeling secure, feeling safe, feeling soothed, and feeling seen. How does that affect marriage? How does this come into the find the bad guy pattern? Well, security. There's a lot to it. Could do separate episodes on each of these 4. But real quick, security in a relationship, marriage, is not just I'm going to have my physical needs met, my physical safety, or financial safety, but specifically in the relationship, is you're not going to leave me. You're not going to abandon me. Am I secure? If I'm not perfect, can we still stay connected? If I'm not happy all the time, if I come home from work and I'm exhausted, or you come home from work and I've been home with the kids all day, and w- um and I'm not happy. I'm exhausted, or something happened and dinner wasn't ready, or whatever the expectation was. Are you going to uh, leave me? And this is where um, uh, people struggle if they struggle with a secure attachment. They feel insecure. They struggle with silence because growing up, silence meant um, punishment. It meant their parent was angry. They're getting the silent treatment. So you've abandoned me physically. Leave the room. In conflict. You know, um, or we have a conflict and then we don't talk for the rest of the day or the whole weekend, or a whole week. Um, or it's very chilly, right? So that's security. Uh, Feeling safe is related, but instead of distance and withdraw, um, emotionally safe. Am I going to be punished? Am I going to be punished for disagreeing? Am I going to be punished for um, not being happy, pleasing you? Yeah, am going to be emotionally and verbally abused um, by your anger and disappointment. So secure, safe, soothed. Um, am I? Can I turn to you for comfort? Do um, uh, are you caring? Are you warm? Are you gentle with me when I'm upset and stressed, or even when I'm angry? Can you sit with me and not judge me for my emotions? Can you soothe and calm? And you're not responsible. Your spouse isn't responsible for your feelings, but are they supportive? Are they there for you? Are they willing to help you when things are hard? Um, and then the fourth one, seen in relationship, is being understood, feeling known, being known, uh, and then now sometimes people are like, I know you, and then they're like dismissive. They'll label their spouse. They'll prejudge. They'll judge their spouse. That's not the type of knowing that this is talking about. Being seen is being seen and understood, but th- the difference or who you are being valued and respected, and even cherished and pursued. Like, do I matter? Am I significant in your life? Um, especially with kids, or work or whatever is pulling affection and connection away from the relationship. Are you there for me? So those are the four pillars of secure attachment. Sue Johnson, in relationships, she also uses the acronym ARE. Are you accessible? Can can I reach you? Can I interrupt your computer, your work, your scrolling, your social media? Um, are you accessible? Are you responsive? When I share something hard, you just don't know what to say? You don't know how to support me empathetically and comfort me? Usually that's not what we say. It's like, oh, my husband, he doesn't have the skill to connect and be there for me. What we is the first thing we usually say with share something, no response, is you're not there for me. You don't love me. I'm alone. This is painful. This is not what I signed up for in this relationship. This is not what I wanted in marriage. um, Engaged. So they're pretty similar, right? Accessible, responsive, engaged. Are we engaged? Are we going back and forth? Is it 80-90% me, verbal? And this is hard. The verbal processor in the relationship, and then the other person is just passively sitting there. Um, you One of the great things in marriage is marriage counseling is when people come in, and there's definitely the 80-20, 90-10, 95-5, and to see the person who's withdrawn, shut down, more internal, have the space and safety to bring more of themselves into the conversation, feel more connected, right? Um, find the bad guy. Another way of looking at that is, adult to adult relationship. It's mutual, it's collaborative, it's connected, mutually respect different perspectives, and that's fun. You build each other up, you honor each other's differences. Things that are different are not wrong, they're just different, you know. Or parent child, the critical parent, and the passive, um, quote unquote, rebellious child, and then this person, you didn't sign on for that for marriage. The critical parent, they they don't want to be a nag. Um, they want what they want sometimes, or often, um, but they don't want to have to nag their spouse to get what they want and what they need especially. All right, guys. Um, if you have any questions, thanks for watching. Did this on Facebook Live today, but if you want to listen back to it, it's going to be on the YouTube channel and the Spotify podcast, the Courage Coaching and Counseling podcast. And we're going to talk more about marriage this year. Um, the last 2 years, I've done the most marriage counseling that I have in the last 19 years of doing counseling. Learning a lot. Here's the book. Get it. The Hold Me Tight workbook. The Demon Dialogues. The Real Imhoffs podcast. If you don't like reading books, you don't have time, hop in your car, listen to the Real Imhoffs. They have a playlist on emotionally focused therapy and attachment. Their playlist called The Basics is really helpful to learn more about pursue and withdraw, secure attachment. I'm still learning, so learn along with me. I hope you guys are having a great start to the year, individually and as a couple, if you're in a relationship. Thanks for watching, guys. And really do appreciate any questions or feedback. It'll help me prepare for any future podcasts that you might be interested in. All right. Take care, guys. God bless you.